I am not an Omarosa Manigault fan. I've done a couple of videos that I would describe as portraying her in a somewhat negative light. So, just good housekeeping and full disclosure. That being said, she went on a simulcast with the Roland Martin show and the Tom Joyner morning show. And I gotta tell you that the way that she was treated to me was not right. Okay, now I recognize when they asked her some questions that she did filibuster a bit. She absolutely did bash President Barack Obama, deservedly so in my opinion, okay? And the people that were questioning her, and they basically ganged up on her and didn't actually give her a chance to disclose everything I believe that she wanted to disclose. She did make mention during this that it was 4 people yelling at her, and Mr. Martin said that wasn't true. He's lying because there were 4 people yelling at her. But the information that was disseminated in this particular segment, in my mind, is or does have potential. I'm sorry, I'm lost for words sometimes. I understand, and I had stated in the previous video that I hadn't heard anything about the particular executive order on HBCUs being signed. I subsequently found out that the order was signed yesterday. It will be available for public review today. I am going to make it my business to get it. And I absolutely want to see everything that's in it. Now, based on what I heard from this particular segment, it appears that there are several positive things, i.e., there's approximately, there's approximately $25 billion that are going to be allocated to the HBCUs, I believe, over the next 7 years. I believe that's in it. The person that's in charge of the, I guess, liaisonship of the HBCUs is going to be taken out of the Department of Education and placed directly inside the White House, where they will have access to the White House senior staff directly, instead of where they were 3 layers down from the Secretary of Education. To me, that's a positive. But again, I need to actually see the executive order itself so that I can read it, understand it, and then be able to make substantial and informed comment about it. But I believe it's also important that we hear what Ms. Manigault had to say. And I don't think that, again, that she was treated all that fairly in this interview that she did. She didn't answer, to my satisfaction, the question regarding Pell Grants, but again, she got cut off so many times, she might have lost focus. But one thing about it, she has actually seen the executive order. Everybody else commenting about it haven't. Here we go with the interview.
That was quite interesting, and we'll get to that in a second. We're trying to get Omarosa Manigault on the phone to talk about the HBCU initiative that took place, that he actually signed yesterday, Tom, that took place. It was, well, let's just say it's still leaving a lot to desire, but to understand what is in the executive order, let's talk to the person who actually played a significant role in getting it done. Omarosa Manigault, who of course is a special assistant to the president.
Now, see, now this is what kills me. You got to listen to these guys. He says that the executive order leaves a lot to be desired. He hasn't seen it, so how does he know that it leaves a lot to be desired? Okay, you got to listen to these guys.
Omarosa, good morning.
Good morning, Roland. Good morning, all the listeners.
So first and foremost, what is actually in the executive order? What is different? What has changed?
Well, Roland, I'm so glad that you asked, because I've been hearing people report about what's in the order, and to my knowledge, the only people who have had a chance to actually see the final one, myself, the president, of course, the staff secretary. So let's go through what's in it as opposed to what is rumored to be in it and not in it. First and foremost, an executive order is a directive given by the president to federal employees, agencies, agency heads, department heads, and secretaries. So this is not a directive to Congress. We don't have that executive power to do that, but it tells the agencies what the president wants to get done and how he wants to do it. And so the first and most important point to make is that this president has done this within the first 40 days of his presidency, making action for historically black colleges and universities as priorities. The first thing we did, and you've heard a lot about this, so let's start there. We've moved the executive director from 3 tiers down, which is where Barack Obama had the director in the Department of Education, who had to report to 3 other people before the Secretary of Education ever heard what he had to say. So that executive director will be housed and sitting in the White House as a part of the senior team that advises what's happening with HBCUs. Why is that important? That's important because we don't have to go through 4 tiers of bureaucracy to find out what's happening with our students in historically black colleges and universities. That person has direct access to the senior team, senior advisors, and affecting the policies that will affect how we improve the conditions of historically black colleges and universities. That's huge. The second thing that we did, and I think probably the most important thing, is to require each agency, each single agency head, to allocate funds, support, and personnel to historically black college and university initiatives. Now, right now, I believe that the former administration had liaisons. They had other jobs to do. In addition to their other jobs to do, they had the title of HBCU liaisons. The individuals that we will have will strictly work on historically black college and university initiatives. The other thing that I'm most excited about is convening the annual summit, but having that White House summit here in the White House. That never happened during the last 8 years. That's going to happen for the first time
Omarosa?
in this White House.
I got a statement from the UNCF. They talked about what was included in it and what was not.
Well, they don't know. Wait, let me stop you before you even read that statement. UNCF does not have the document that's in front of me.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then.
It's speculative.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
I'll listen to your statement.
No. Is that a statement?
The final one.
No, it's just a question.
Okay.
It's just a question.
Sure.
They said that they wanted committing an aspirational goal for HBCUs to be awarded 5% of total federal grant, internship, and cooperative agreement funding, and 10% of total federal contract funding awarded to colleges and universities, which would nearly double federal support to HBCUs, and backing up the federal funding goals with concrete commitments for annual funding growth at each federal agency reflected in agency budgets. Is that in the executive order?
The executive order does not, as you know, that's not the role of the executive order, nor do we have the power to do that. That's in the budget, and you know how government works. We're still right now negotiating the budget, and the official budget will not even be presented for the next 30 days. So I think that's understanding how the process works. We direct what the president's priority is, and then the budget process that's going on right now will determine that funding. But of course, I requested more than 5% for increases in these programs. I think that having gone to 3 black colleges, I know for a fact that 5% is not enough. So I appreciate their submission of 5%, but I believe that we need a 7 to 9% increase in those programs.
Speaking of
and we'll be pushing for those increased fundings from my end.
Speaking of going to HBCU, Howard University is one of them. I'm joined right now by Greg Carr, Director of Afro-American Studies Program at Howard University. Dr. Carr, you have a question for Omarosa. Your thoughts about this executive order?
Well, yeah, Ms. Manigault, and we know that this is not...
Dr. Carr, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Good to talk to you as well. Yes, we know, of course, that this isn't unusual. Ever since Jimmy Carter, we've seen these executive orders. I have one very specific question as it relates to what Roland, you were asking relative to the UNCF suggestions, and that involves Pell Grants, particularly the UNCF's urging to simplify to restore, increase, and protect Pell Grants. And I know that President Walter Kimbrough of Dillard University said
wait, let me stop before you ask too many questions.
No, that's it. I'm just saying the Pell Grant issue. Could you take that up?
Let's start with Pell Grants, because I was so saddened by the decision of the previous administration, not just to change Pell Grant lending, but to
Why do
change
you
the
have to
Parent
bash
Plus loan.
Obama
Wait.
to
I'm
pump
not
up
bashing.
Trump?
No. Let's be very clear. I have to give you the data so that you know. Don't cut me off because I need to finish my statement. I have to give you the data so that you know the changes that we made. Like you said, this is not a new initiative. But why would we need to do in the first 30 days?
No,
what
not
Trump did
Obama.
do
I'm
for the last
asking
8
you.
years?
I'm asking you about what you all are going to do.
The changes for Pell Grant.
She was trying to get to it. Yeah, she was going to bash Obama, but she was probably going to give you the numbers of the Pell Grants under the Obama administration versus what they're proposing under the Trump administration, and they kept cutting her off.
Affected 128,000 students at HBCUs. The decision to change Parent Plus loans resulted in 128,000 students to have to drop out of HBCUs. Don't take my word. Google it.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold up 1 second. No. I know. But Omarosa, hold on. That 128,000 dropping out, that is not a number that I am familiar with. No. Omarosa, the number that I have received from the Thurgood Marshall Fund, from UNCF, and from others, that the number is 28,000. Tom, you had a question.
Well, okay. See, now we got a problem. Okay, now I got a problem. And that means that I got to go back to UNCF to see what the number is that they actually quoted, because somebody's lying. Either Roland is lying about his number or she's lying about hers, because there's a hell of a big difference between 28,000 and 128,000.
I believe. Go ahead, Tom.
But
I just said, why do you have to boost
Omarosa,
historically black college and university?
hold tight 1 second. Tom,
And it's unacceptable.
Tom, go ahead.
Why do you have to bash Obama to boost Trump?
Right.
Because what he did to black colleges is shameful. It's shameful that black students had to drop out of school because that previous administration didn't care enough to know that if you cut Pell Grants, if you cut Parent Plus loans, you would affect the attendance, the quality of education at black colleges. And nobody wants
tell
to
me what you're going to do about Pell Grants.
Tom, wait. No one wants to call out what the previous administration did.
Actually, hold up, Omarosa.
See, okay, and that's 4 people going at her and not giving her a chance to answer, and she's did not answer up to this point the question on what they're going to do about Pell Grants, though she is going to answer that particular question somewhat.
Omarosa, hold on 1 second.
4 people yelling at me.
No, they're not yelling at you. Let me be clear, Omarosa. On this show, on TV1 and the Tom Joyner Morning Show, we were extremely critical. Tom wrote letters and met with the president directly. So you can't tell this audience that no one was critical when we were leading the voice of challenging the administration when it came to Pell Grants. Now, Tom asked the question. Tom asked the question.
Somebody just asked me about Pell Grants.
No, hold up. Tom asked the question.
Yeah, somebody did ask her about Pell Grants, and he basically is not going to let her answer that question at this particular point in time.
Will this administration advocate in its budget to restore what UNCF and others are asking for Pell Grants?
Absolutely. You know how much unclaimed Pell Grant money went? Can I mention the last 8 years, or no, that's not allowed?
No, it is.
Because unclaimed Pell Grant lets you know how difficult the previous administration made for students to get the Pell Grant. So there's a ton of unclaimed Pell Grant money. So yes, not only are we going to restore the Pell Grant program so that it's not so difficult, the criteria aren't impossible for students to get the education that they need, Roland. It is, to me, baffling that people do not recognize the high numbers. When I looked at the numbers of Pell Grant fund that was left over from the previous administration because of those restrictions, absolutely we're going to lift that, and students will be able to fund their education at historically black colleges and universities.
When will we be able to look at the executive order that was signed yesterday?
So we are disseminating the executive order today so that people can speak on fact as opposed to what they're stating is in it when they've never seen it. And then it goes into effect in 30 days.
30 days from today?
Yeah, all executive orders go into effect after 30 days.
Or from yesterday?
Yesterday is when we signed it, Sybil.
All right. Well, again, we'll know once 30 days. We'll be asking those questions, and certainly we'll be looking for the budget proposal the Trump administration submits to Congress.
We will definitely do better for Black college students. Trust me.
Well, and
what's been experienced for the last 8 years.
And I'll say that. I'll say this, Omarosa. I'll say this, Omarosa. I'll say this. You can ask the Obama folks this here. We held their feet to the fire, and we will hold Trump's as well. That's a guarantee.
Thank you, Roland.
All right. So there's the interview, and she was right. There were 4 people at one point in time ganging up on her, and I really did want to hear the numbers as far as the Pell Grant money left over from the Obama administration, so that I could get a proper determination on just how bad he was. And I'm going to say it. I don't care what anybody says. He was not a friend to the HBCUs. I know for a fact through my own research that he at one point had proposed a budget that severely cut funding to the HBCUs, and he got so much pushback on it that he backed away from it, and the quote-unquote Congressional Black Caucus turned around and found money in order to replace the cuts that he was proposing to the HBCUs. So I don't give a damn about Roland saying, yeah, they pushed back and they, quote-unquote held feet to the fire. You only have to hold feet to the fire when somebody is fucking you. And in this particular case, Obama was fucking the HBCUs. And Ms. Manigault is not wrong in her pushing back and basically downing President Obama in his treatment of the HBCUs. My opinion, you're welcome to your own.